Kathy Vick, deeply awake. And, oh, I can't say that anymore. Oh, I'll let it stand. It's kind of cute. Wow. I'm going to do a channel, and I want to first set things with where I'm at in my consciousness. I like to do that because it's important for me to anchor the information in time, and if I can just hear my voice and that I can usually, and just hear a couple of things, I can usually peg where in time the transmission is coming from. So that's helpful. I find it awfully helpful to see the change in how I present, because I mean, this is just me. And I do get a little bit fuzzy and become more like them when I'm really altered, and find that I can become more altered when I'm sleepy or tired. But sometimes they come on me and then I become sleepy and tired. So anyway, I've been sort of reviewing this massive body of work. What I did was go to my stats and look at the year, and then I 111 began to review the things that were seen sort of in the middle band, that people were watching very much, but earlier. It was really fascinating. And this I want to call meditations and channeling within the dispersal, because I really acknowledge that there's something very, very unusual going on here, and it is echoed by my friends' very personal experiences. It's echoed by the visions I have when I hug people, or when I talk with them or interact sometimes, depending on what's going on with them. This is really intense stuff, so why not honor it with a channel and with a little bit of hey. Because this morning it was really funny. I met someone yesterday who, when he told me who he knows himself to be, my body reacted like it reacted when I saw a Lemurian sisterhood crystal pendant. And other times when I have been brought up short, because my body is reacting in a way that I don't have any control over, and it's highly congruent on a soul level, and it catches my mind and my expectations completely unawares. Sometimes it can be a shiver that doesn't stop. Sometimes it can be the physical symptoms of the nausea and the light and all that stuff, but sometimes it's this other thing. So this morning I was being instructed as I was re-entering, and on re-entry I was urged to write. I understood so much about the reaction people had given me in the past, why they'd given me that reaction, what I'd done with it, and what kind of loop that could created, where that loop is breakable and where it is just preferred by the other. And it just was very starkly plain to me. And I kept and continue to keep seeing a crown on my head since yesterday when I did a meditation. And this, something else came over me, and I could see and know and understand and think in a brand new way. Very, very, very beautiful and integrated and otherworldly. And I keep seeing this six-pointed star, two triangles, and they're on my head like a crown. They were on my head like a crown when I was doing that meditation on my bed. And they've been there since, and it makes me feel really good. I don't know, it just does. It's pretty. And then this morning I had that pretty meditation of being on a throne, and I'm just in that still point. Not in the land of recognition and celebration and welcome. Not in the land of taking on the responsibilities after having voluntarily and involuntarily experienced the removal of so many others and the modification of the ones that remain. Knowing of my unending wealth and knowledge and benevolence and power and balance. It was really extraordinary. It felt really good. And I knew I was there just for the still point. I've had some other meditative experiences that have been very physical and really instructive and really helpful. And I've just let them roll. And so I'm having a different experience with my meditation. I wanted to mention that. Just as with putting my hands on for healing and doing the energetic healing, it's completely different. It's physical. That energetic healing is a physical experience for me. It was really fun. And now this. And this morning, I realized that I really had different areas of my reality. This new friendship really helped me see that. And so I began to jot down the patterns in my life that I saw, and I could see that there were pretty much just like 4 flavors or 4 groups. And then it began to populate. There's the Jesus group, and all those lifetimes I spent in France as nun. Many of those with my friend Diane. She and I know each other that way. And the reverence I have for that kind of ritualized love is just, it's a passion that's part of my DNA. My love of French and my ease with that language, it's just my second language. And my love for Jesus and my understanding of things that I shouldn't really know about. And then I read what other people have discovered, and yeah, it's right on. And then I realized, well, wait a minute, there's that time I went to the crystal cave, and each of the corners of this crystal sauna that I used to go to meditate in contained these beings. As I walked in, right to my right, behind the door, was a Sananda group. That would be the Jesus group. Sananda was looking directly across, kitty corner in the room, at the Cryon group is what I called them. And I see them to be the Ascended Masters, that whole energy of and it's, there's so much to it. It's so pristine. It's where all the high physics is. It's where all of the interstellar travel is. It's where all of those lifetimes are. All of the galaxies, all of the ascensions. That's in the Cryon group. In that room to Cryon's right was who I recognized in that altered state was my soul's love, and that was the Shiva group. And there stood Shiva. And I know I'm still alive and a yogi that I've been alive for 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, I don't know how long, living in a little cave in the Himalayas. So that connection is so alive and well, and it's part of my reality. He comes and eats with me when I eat my beef curry, and he chants with me and stuff, and he's a heavy hitter is what I've called him. that represents the ancients, all of the ancients, all of those beautiful civilizations, including the wonder that's Lemuria, which I heard the Arcturians talk about, and I remembered. We used to communicate different, like I always wish I could. It all came back to me as they spoke, communicating with tones, with the air. It just was a different way, and I miss it very much. And all of that's contained in that group that I love so dearly, and who is personified. It is personified with my great lover and consort, Shiva. And he was looking at me, although I was sitting on the little straw mat. Shiva and I were looking at each other, 11:11. And I was simply a whale. I contain the unlanguageable. I know the unknowable. I have access to things that should not be discussed. Maybe you do too. Whales travel in Merkabas, you know. So I sat on my bed and I realized, okay, that explains a lot. The thinking patterns and the, whole, I don't know, chase a good man down, throw him up on a cross, and then feel shitty about it for 2,000 years. That whole thing, that's part of me. I think this culture is part of the sickness of the Judeo-Christian hijack of that beautiful message, but that's, neither here nor there. And it's just a pest at this point. It's a flavor. Oh, so here we are in the land of you feel persecuted because I'm telling you my truth. Oh, okay. All right, we're in that land. We're in the land of it's really super great to get as naked as you want, and if you need to and want to move your body and tone, well then, why wouldn't you? Please, feel free. Oh, that's a much different energy. It attracts a much different crowd, I can assure you. And then there's let's talk about God for a minute here. How does this all work together? What's it made of? How does this thing go? I called myself at the time when I encountered these four, the four, and I decided that whale was really an emblem or a symbol of creative expression, divine creative expression, divine free will, divine creative life force. And it shouldn't be talked, it can be talked about until, there are no words left. It can never truly be properly described. It can only be experienced. That's what they've been trying to explain to me with those visions, with the whale's eye and the layers. So that was a really very helpful thing to see all of that come together, because it gives me a chance to sort of navigate. But then the question comes, and this is why I want to channel. That's wonderful. So I have some categorizations now. That's super, super great. Okay. Haven't I been asking for some sort of roadmap? That's good. So affectively I can see where I'm at, and I can, it always comes to this, 1444. How do I behave? Who am I? What do I show those people so they don't freak out, so they don't reject me? How do I get my point across? How do I get along here? How do I live this and not be persecuted? Those are the thoughts I have. I don't have answers to those questions. What can I just choose? If I want to take on the personality of a fairy princess, is that now what? And I think this is about dispersal. There's just not a lot of structure about, and absolutely no worry about that. There's not supposed to be. I keep hearing every time I think that, it's like there's not supposed to be. And then they bring me to the day, it's a Sunday. Yesterday they kept bringing me to, it's Saturday. See, there's nothing. So what's the problem, girly? I hear. At Bartok wanting to love on us, so I'm just going to bring him in, okay? So it's just a puzzle to me, and I know at this late hour that it's really silly to let a puzzle bother me. That I've got a problem, I've got a question, something's not adding up kind of thing. Well, that just tells me I'm almost done with the process. That's been bugging me probably for a long time. And that answers are coming that probably going to surprise me because they're not laid out straight. So I might be in for a surprise. But, what do I do now? No longer I used to just have such fear and over the question, who's going to love me now? I'll be completely unlovable now. Well, at least I'm so fully in love with myself and just so thrilled with everything that, you know what? If nobody else can pony up, nobody else has the cojones, nobody else has the self-esteem or the buffer, their ego, whatever. You don't have it in you this time, humanity, to come around and give this girl love. Well, all right then. Fine. That's kind of where I'm at, knowing full well that with that crown on my head, that's like bees to honey. So I don't have anything to worry about. Honey to bees, I don't care, whatever. So I set my course today too on that one. There's a whole lot that I won't be doing, and a whole lot I will. But yeah, that was set. That feels good. I feel like this is about my Merkaba setting. I'm setting my Merkaba again, just like I said. There's a time when I realized in the 90s I had fields, and I was responsible for those fields. I was responsible for the energetic management of my Merkaba. Who else is? Certainly not my guides, it's me. And now I feel like I'm doing that again, but I'm really actually working it through. I wanted to pass on those 4 states because I thought that was really fascinating. But then where does that leave me? The little confused amnesiac in the middle of all of this mystical wildness, left speechless, left sweating and panting, and now more than ever before even more unable to connect with a human being. No, it's not like that anymore. I share these things with you because you might be going through them. I share them because I've been doing a lot of reading, and I realize a few things. I spent my entire life knowing I was late. And I was late for something I couldn't be late for. It had to be on time. It had to be executed a certain way. And sure, there were some variables, but it had to be done. I was led like that. And I look back now on the work and see why. Because I was hitting these notes right when the celestial triggers were going off. It's just crazy. And I did that without knowledge of these triggers. I just really got a handle on what Pluto square Uranus meant for a generation just now. So it's been an uncanny experience, and I know I've been led. But then where does that leave me? Is anybody going to love me? In the way I want to be loved? In the way I want to be loved? The way that I know I can give and receive love? I think that's a fair question too. What if in all of your eclipse nonsense and all this weirdness going on, what if your marriage broke up? What if your girlfriend left you? What if your family finally said, yeah, you know what, we've come to a conclusion. You're crazy. Go fuck yourself. And close the door on you. And it's not like, yes, I'm going to take this identity and really live it. It's more like, holy shit. I just did that and everybody turned on me. There's a lot of that going on too. And some of it's just like, what? I didn't expect this. This isn't what's supposed to happen. Wait a minute, come back here. But it's just like, it's done. Are you noticing these things? It's a big time to be alive, isn't it? So what are you then, when maybe a change has been foisted upon you? Maybe it's a change you always wanted to have happen. Maybe you wanted it to be foisted, but here it is. And maybe it's just a hint. Maybe you think maybe it's possible, but all around you, whoa, things are going on. People are saying, oh, hell no. And some are saying, oh, hell yes. But not a lot. Not right now. It's not what this time's about. It's not that magnetized. It's not that charged. It's really not a time to dip into the vortex and imagine your Volvo in your driveway. It's not that time. So the energy is set quite nicely, and we would like to adjust a bit because we have some things to say which are a little bit surprising. We spin it off, you know. Remember. Yes, there's a dispersal going on. Yes. And it is odd to report that the dispersal is a tricky one to manage because the dispersal is occurring and yet it is being observed, you know. So we bring up observer yet again. Perhaps this will help this conundrum. Who am I? How am I to present? As a Hindu, as a Buddhist, as a monk, as a harlot, as an ex-wife, as a child, as a saint, as a nurse, as a creative, as an artist. What am I to do now? Do you sense this kind of upheaval in identity, in yourself? Perhaps you do, since you are looking in right now. Perhaps. Who is saying, "What do I do?" Who is hearing those words? When you are pulled over on the side of the road, overtaken with a swell of change, and not being able to manage it quite good, and needing to just sit and cry. And the cars may speed by, but there you are in your little car, trying to get right with it all. Get right with what? What is there to get right with? If the one who is observing is in agreement, why the dissonance? This is my life. Why the discontent? And this basic pattern goes on until there is no need for the pattern. So, who am I? Where do I come from? How do I express? And who will love me now? Well, you know, we allow this to be languaged so tenderly. Oh, such a heart of love. Because others have the same fear. What if I do walk away from this job? I will have no money. I will have nothing. Sure, I will have my excitement for my photography, but beyond that, I have to start over. Who will love me then? I'm 62. I'm 49. I'm just getting out of grad school with an English degree. Oh, you will need a new bunch of support if you do that. Perhaps not monetary support, but friends who can see you are in transition indeed, as once they were. Come along, I'll show you how to do it, they say. But we want to get to that little straw mat you might find yourself on when you begin to ask. I see patterns in my behaviors. I see I behave one way when I'm thinking a certain way about myself. I behave another when I hold my consciousness a different way about myself. How I think changes the way others behave toward me at times, and at other times it doesn't make one bit of difference. How confusing. What's going on? What am I to do? What do I do now? What is the right way? Where is the right road? There used to be one. There used to be rules. And I could expect certain things when I did certain things. And it was always that way, and it isn't anymore. What do I do? You wait. You whisper into the dispersal. And you allow a voice to emerge from the glittering air. We talk about dispersal as we once talked about a sandstorm. This dispersal, imagine everything up for grabs, nothing nailed down. A required period of suspension, flotation, of non-joining, of singularity and unity beginning to be understood, beginning to be expressed in consciousness through a simple dispersal. But this dispersal also contains the DNA patterns of humanity long coded for things that have yet to be understood but have been accomplished, and so there's much light about, light that is not understood and appears as glittering sand in a wind that does not burn, does not shock, neither does it sedate. It enlivens, it freshens, it makes whole and intact all. It encounters, and through this glitter you may see things are changing, but it's just hard to see completely. It's hard to see in a focused way, although it's very clear there are certain things going on and things do look familiar. We've given this gift before, but after this begins to dissipate, it begins to become less of an opaque film in the air as things settle. Everything is touched by something that is new and does alter everything. Is it magic in the mist that has done this? This dispersal, this sandstorm, this interference, this veil, this final curtain. Dear ones, your very bodies ejected it during the eclipse, you know. Many chose to use it this way, and it is simply reality itself, atomized. It is profoundly sacred. You are walking on holy ground day to day now. And when we say interregnum, we mean interregnum, most certainly. At the end of this interregnum, the sovereign who is to be crowned is you. You, the viewer, the watcher, the reader, the knower, you. For it is your DNA which is dispersed. It is your DNA mixing and mingling with stardust. And it is you who will find that the sandstorm settles, the glittery air stills, and the scene resolves into something brand new, though wildly familiar. And you will know it has been touched. How can everything around you, outside of you, have been touched by God, by spirit, by creative source, by magic and joy and bliss and beauty? There is an observer. There is an observer. It is the observer who is changed. It is the observer herself, himself, themselves. who, through the great gift of this dispersal, this cooperative act, allows a new wind to blow and a new reality to be appreciated once the vision begins to clear. Given this information, can you see how important it is to be kind to yourself, to be gentle, to not push yourself, to please, for goodness sake, not say bad things about yourself that you wouldn't say to a child? We caution you. Listen to what you are saying to yourself when you make a mistake. What, you don't think you make any of those? Well, good for you. The next time someone else tells you you made a mistake. We will leave you with what the Actarians gave. Remember you in childhood, when you would take a drawing or a thought or a dream to a grown-up. What is it that you were most prone to think and say? Do you like it? Do you think it's any good? Every time. Every time. That moves you one step away. And into the land of confusion, projection, and reflectivity. We leave you with this, for we think if this simple thing could be incorporated into everyone's daily life, where they honor their child so much, this child now able to do complicated mathematical equations, or to give and receive wonderfully complicated and nurturing love, or who can drive a vehicle, or do many things. That child. We contend that if left to one's own devices, lawlessness would not break out. Lawfulness would. Those who self-examine and who behave brutally, if they cannot recognize their brutality, well then, declaring their structures good, that's tricky, isn't it? Not for them, for the ones they wish to brutalize, dears, because that is what they wish to do. It is this fundamental need or wish that is being adjusted. The permission being withdrawn on the receiving end of such behavior. Quite a movement indeed. So what is left? After dispersal, who is left to operate the vehicle? Whose memories, whose desires, whose wishes, if everything is available, we ask, does it truly matter if the observer and the participant are in agreement? With that, we close. Namaste.